Hello everyone, I'm Kirtana from Swiss Water Partnership. I welcome you all to the multidimensional role of youth in building resilience. This session is co-hosted by International Secretariat for Water, Stockholm Institute for International Water Institute, French Water Partnership, Central Asia Youth for Water, Global Water Partnership, Swiss Water Partnership, Young Water Solutions, Water Youth Network, Young Experts Program from Netherlands, Water Partnership, Intergovernmental Hydrological Program of UNESCO, and youth delegates from World Water Council. So to start off, I would like to give some technical details. The session will happen in English only. So in case you're interested in the live transcript, so you can activate the live transcript on your screens. And later the breakout sessions will happen in also French, Spanish, and Russian. So you are welcome to post all your responses or questions on the Pathable chat platform. And let me remind you that the session is recorded, so you'll be filmed. We can start with the session agenda. Can you go to the next slide, please? Camelia? Next slide. Yeah, so objective of our session today is to ask you how youth can contribute to resilience. We have 4 young professionals who will share examples on youth involvement on mainly 3 themes: water security, peace and cooperation, nature-based solutions for climate resilience, water sanitation and hygiene in fragile settings. Later, we will go into groups in breakout rooms to discuss how young people's contribution matter and how we can actually involve them in building resilience. In the last 5 minutes, we return to the plenary, conclude the session and say goodbyes. Today morning, I would also like to share that a similar session happened, which was called as Youth Engagement, Why It Matters and How to Do It, hosted by IUCN, Government of Netherlands, Water Youth Network, amongst other many different organizations. It was a very inspiring event to see so many youth-related initiatives. Some of the conclusions from the session were that we don't have to teach the youth what is happening, but rather we need to involve them. Young people already very well know what is happening, but often they do not have a place to raise their voice. Mr. Vincent, one of our colleagues here from YEP, quoted in the session that investments in young people are the most sustainable investments you can ever make because you can harvest this for a long time. Lastly, the Valuing Water Initiative and the Water Youth Network announced today that we'll be launching a multi-stakeholder youth engagement action plan that aims to empower more young people in the water sector. They're currently looking for partnerships to help with the work plan design and execution. I will post a link in the Pathable platform. So in case you are interested in building this youth action plan, please feel free to let them know. Now we look forward to similar inputs and dialogue from you and hope you will enjoy the discussions. Without any further ado, I invite presentations from our speakers.
Hi everyone, my name is Ahmed Alburay. A young Palestinian raised in a rural area relies on agriculture, which know it consumes 70% of the global freshwater resource. That brought me to focus on water and agriculture on a technical level in the field to observe and laboratory analysis. I work at government sector and a local NGO in Palestine and get more passionate to volunteer at the many regional related topics. I will share many contributions of youth from different areas around the world in water security for peace and cooperation. Here we go. First, let's agree that the environment is the root of all water. The value of water in the context of peace, conflict, and security are paradoxical. While much has been written about the positive value of water in promoting peace, in many cases, water itself was a contributing factor to the conflict in the first place. It has been argued that a spirit of dialogue helped to transfer water-related conflicts into cooperation. Unfortunately, these photos start to be the first thing I saw on social media. Would this have an effect on water insecurity? Sadly, yes. And the climate change is also compounding water scarcity. Also, it can lead to rising sea level, salt water erosion, contaminating drinking water supplies, rapid melting of glacial change the river flow pattern in the downstream area, contributing to risk of flooding, damage to infrastructure, and increased insecurity. From youth perspective, significant say when discussing the topic, the main challenge around the water scarcity, water security for peace and cooperation. I would like to recommend raising the following question to learn from more expert in the field or young people. Razaki adds increased demand for water, access to water, water rights, lack of accountability, transparency, gender inequality, and he finished his speech with water policy is inherently complex. Jonathan works on NGO in Uganda and helped to provide water access and fight climate change by planting trees, say. In water scarcity area, children move up to about 3 kilometers to get pure whole water. For children, water is life. Without it, they cannot survive. Safe drinking water is essential for their health and survival, and unsafe water can make them sick or even kill them. Water scarcity reduces livelihood opportunity for their families and communities, leading migration, conflict, and even children labor. A contribution from Layazat about Kai for Water, which is a youth-led platform for young people in Central Asia and Afghanistan. It implements various water-related youth-developed initiatives across the region. An IWRM context that takes place all over the region, and the number of the participants of the context is growing year by year. It comes with many successful stories and opportunities like scholarship, participant in the summer school, and international events. Hasmek from EYPW declared that the European youth in water are standing for peace, environmental sustainability principle, beyond political boundary in Europe. Water is used as a weapon, as a tool to put the pressure on the other side, and it can trigger an armed conflict. When water is targeted, it can lead to humanitarian catastrophe during and after the armed conflict. European youth in water can take the lead as a non-state actor to facilitate dialogue and communication for water and peace. And multilateralism is a way forward for an equitable water world in peace. Joyce, a young activist from Latin America, expressed his thought. Water stress in the region has fueled a number of conflicts, as we can see in the history and geopolitical of the triple board between Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay. And she had the following: youth decide to be a part of the social and political agreement, participating in construction of the negotiation agenda by creating organization and initiative to facilitate dialogue among the different stakeholders and force capacity building for the youth and civil society. And she believed that transboundary cooperation in education and climate action also makes part of youth cooperatives. Water cooperation for peace and stability. So what we are doing with the Blue Peace Initiative, we are working to ensure that young women and men in policy and programs that affect them and take action to promote peace and sustainable development in their countries and communities. Leverage their creativity, knowledge, innovation, and potential to drive change. Take up the challenge and the affect their development, both in terms of governance and society. Reach out to these left behind and those who have lost sense of community and hope for future. In conclusion, we come up with 5 points we hope they can contribute to a good recommendation from youth aspect and on different levels around the world.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this presentation on nature-based solutions for climate resilience. I am Andrea Ferreira. I work at the French Water Partnership as the Program Officer for Freshwater Biodiversity and Nature-Based Solutions. I first learned about nature-based solutions during my master's in environmental policy, where I specialized in water policy and European affairs. And then I worked at IDRI, which is a French think tank, on the factors of success and failure of nature-based solutions projects for coastal protection. Then I interned at Agua and Siwi before joining the French Water Partnership. So I'm here to talk to you about nature-based solutions, what they are, what they aren't, and more importantly, what young people can do to help implement them at a larger scale. Here you have the official definition by the IUCN, but what you really need to remember is that you're using ecosystem-based approaches to solve societal challenges while providing human benefits and biodiversity benefits. This aspect is very important as this is the main criteria for qualification to be nature-based solutions. But there are also other principles, not all listed here, published by the IUCN, among which is complementarity with other types of solutions, which here we'll call gray solutions, inclusion of traditional, local, and scientific knowledge, but also transparency and broad participation, and the fact that nature-based solutions need to rely on diverse, complex, and resilient ecosystems, because you want your solution to be viable and sustainable over decades. So here we have two examples. A good example of nature-based solution is wetlands restoration, for example, to stock water upstream, because you're using the ecosystem services and you're also providing benefits for biodiversity. A bad example of nature-based solutions is artificial lakes or reservoirs, which aren't considered nature-based solutions because they don't use the ecosystem and they don't provide any clear biodiversity benefits. There are many links between nature-based solutions and biodiversity and climate resilience. The first obvious link is that the climate crisis endangers biodiversity worldwide, but also the fact that nature-based solutions can be used for adaptation against floods or droughts or coastal erosion, but also mitigation, which is less known, because you can use ecosystems such as forests to capture carbon and stock it into the soil. So what can you do as a young professional to help implement NBS? Well, first you need to get trained. You need training on NBS. There's a huge knowledge gap. Generally, decision makers don't know much about nature-based solutions, or they do not know the options that they have, what is possible to do with nature-based solutions. So even though there are already dedicated masters that exist, we need to really push to integrate nature-based solutions in other courses, such as engineering or urban planning, because those are the future decision makers and they need to be aware of what can be done with nature and biodiversity. You can also influence or even become decision makers. You can petition them, you can showcase the multiple benefits of nature-based solutions to convince them, but you can also, and really, I insist on this, get involved and make your voices heard. But you need to remember that you need to act where the decisions happen. And often for biodiversity or nature-based solutions, those decisions happen at the local or regional scales, and not so much at the national or international levels, which are the levels where young people tend to gravitate to. So it's really interesting, it's really dynamic at the local and regional level. And so if you want to really have an impact for nature-based solutions and biodiversity, that's where the action takes place. You can also raise awareness in your community. And this is really important because when people come to care about nature and realize the benefits of it, they can then petition and demand that their representatives use nature-based solutions. So you can bring awareness to existing nature-based solutions projects, to success stories that might be in your area. And you can build support by leading nature-oriented activities such as community gardens. So these activities are good because they connect people with their communities and they connect people with their environment and with nature. And that convinces them much more than a big speech. You can also make connections, not just with the environment, but between actors and sectors. So because one of the huge principles for nature-based solutions is inclusion, you have to be careful to include local actors and, if relevant, indigenous people, because those people have local and traditional knowledge that will complement the scientific expertise that you need to really manage these ecosystems sustainably in the long term. You also need to include all relevant sectors in your project, because the more people you bring to the table, the more point of views you have, and maybe those people know things that you don't, or can contribute to things you hadn't thought of. And so the more people are included, the more sustainable the project is. And this is what we want. We really want projects that will be there for decades, if not more. And finally, you need to be innovative in the ways that you organize the project, because oftentimes there is an institutional inertia. People are used to working with gray solutions. Gray solutions typically require big capital costs at the beginning, and then less monitoring and maintenance cost. Whereas with nature-based solutions, you really need not as much of an investment at the beginning, but you will need to keep a greater part of your budget for the monitoring and maintenance of the ecosystems on which it relies. And this goes against what people are used to. So you will need to be creative in your financing methods, and you will need to find new standards for nature-based solutions, and be creative and be convincing. So in conclusion, I really think that the young people have a lot to contribute to for nature-based solutions and for climate resilience in general. I would urge you to really take 2 minutes out of your day to think about what you can do at your own level, with your own network, to promote nature-based solutions. We have seen already that you can get involved at the local and regional level. You can become an ambassador for nature-based solutions by amplifying success stories and becoming the link between your community and nature, and being an ambassador for nature-based solutions at your universities, for example. And we have seen that when you want to do a nature-based solution, you need to mobilize all actors and push for innovative solutions, which is things that young people are really good at, as we've seen in the previous presentations. Thank you very much for your attention, and have a good day.
Hi there, my name is Yvonne Dube, a local South African young expert. My expertise includes geology, hydrogeology, and environmental sciences. Currently, I'm working for the Netherlands South African Blue Deal as an assistant project manager. I guess I'm one of those people you can call a tree hugger because of my interest in a sustainable environment. And as such, I'd like to share with you guys here today on one of human security concerns, and that is water, by sharing my experiences as a young professional.
Hi, I'm Cedric Berto. I'm a French engineer working for the NGO Solidarité Internationale. I first started to work in the private sector. After that, I decided to change the way of working by trying volunteering in conservation NGO. I started to professionalize in a humanitarian sector. I did the WASH training of Bioforce. After that, I had my first experience in the Red Cross, the second in Solidarité Internationale in France. And finally, I had the promotion as WASH coordinator, interventioning in fragile places of the country, mostly slums and refugees camp, to improve WASH access.
There are common features and gaps that have been noticed in fragile contexts and have been listed and presented as blocks, and these include governance, where we talk about the need for cross-connection from local to international government in a systematic, multi-sector and multi-stakeholder approach to enhance peer-to-peer learning as well as co-funding. Without this, we risk informed policies as well as our budgets. The next is data information, where reliable data and information is necessary for policy development as well as when strategizing about our water resource management plans. This is critical in understanding social, economical, and environmental demands when it comes to our water resources. And the last on my plate is capacity development, where you're talking about strengthening the capacities of national and local institutions and stakeholders by increasing cooperation amongst them, as well as strengthening the capacities of communities by developing local economy, as well as teaching about our systems.
Funding is obviously a key issue, because to reach this objective, we need to optimize the use of existing funding, so better targeting and an effective use. But it's also attract and find new ways to raise money. And after that, innovation, it's about even more than improve existing ways to use knowledge. It's about finding new paths, using new technologies, and multiplying possibilities and stakeholders to get more and more ideas, find effective ways of doing things.
My advice to the youth for building resilience in WAS system is to always exist in a state of learning where you open up to being part of programs such as the YEAR program, this conference, and many organizations that are here today. For me, being part of the YEAR program assisted me in building a more of a holistical young professional by being part of a diverse management team that incorporates various stakeholders of interest for the Netherlands South African retail, thereby implementing the cross-connection from local to international government for governing our water resources. By being part of a large network with peers that I share similar experiences with and have been able to share our strengths in governing water resources as well as improve our weaknesses. In community involvement, active training, active coaching, online meetups, designing business cases, and the list is endless. I've been motivated and somehow skilled to take lead in building resilience in my country's water system, as well as assisting them in achieving the UN SDG Goal 6, especially at the Blackspoor area. This wetland is one of the largest tributaries of the Vaal River, the water supplier for one of the country's most economic hub provinces, and that is Gauteng. However, this wetland has been listed in the Ramsar site. This is due to its deterioration in water quality, as well as decline in its ecological diversity. And this is all because of land use and land cover activities, including mining, dysfunctional municipalities. But however, here I've seen the power of a governing community where the Blue Deal has joined or has designed a team that consists of people from the local community, from local government, private NGOs, and private companies, as well as national government in designing and funding a sustainable water system in this area. And
because youngs are living in the different world, they are thinking also differently, and they are able to find new ways to adapt and answer the challenge from the field. By my experience in the French program, it was about design and build new wash infrastructures and find new ways to work with the government and to adapt to the special context found in France. Coordination is going from the ground to the very head, and in all this scale, young people are about to do a lot and participate to cluster in different places. And by my experience in the French program, we are exchanging a lot in the dense pool of partners and authorities in different grounds, and I had a lot of responsibilities in that in different places of France. So yes, we are participating a lot. In the field, or so from the communities to authorities, the young people are able to give messages to fight for what they think. By my experience in the French program, a big slice of the program is as for goal to make evolute and clarify laws to promote wash access for precarious people. So we are fighting, and we are spending a lot of energy with authorities, and I'm taking part of it, and I'm listening as a professional.
As a youth, we do not inherit this planet from our ancestors, but we borrow it from our children, and as such, it is our duty to rectify the mistakes of the past and try to build on a more sustainable future. And that means that not sitting and waiting for opportunities to come at you, but going out there and taking lead in community involvement initiatives. Thank you.
And thank you to Ahmed, Andrea, Yvonne, and Cedric for their inspiring stories on our 3 thematic areas. Yes, can we stop sharing the screen, the video now, please? Yes. So we just had different youth presenters speaking on water security for peace and cooperation, as well as nature-based solutions for climate resilience and WASH in fragile settings. We now want to dive deeper and hear from all of you and what you have been doing, the barriers that you face, and what do you need to improve your influence and impact. We will now split into breakout rooms. There will be 12 parallel breakout rooms on the 3 topics. You should see a prompt asking you to select a group on your screen. As you can see here, each topic will have 4 rooms associated with it. Rooms 1 to 4 will be on water security for peace and cooperation, and you'll have the opportunity for it to be in Spanish, Russian, and English. So choose which is best for you. Rooms 5 to 8 will be on nature-based solutions for climate resilience, and there's the opportunity for discussions in French and English, while rooms 9 to 12 will be on WASH in fragile settings, also in an opportunity to be in French and English. So you should be able to select your room right now. I think the pop-up just came in. Select which room you want to participate in, or you can also stay in the main room and my colleagues can transport you there. There will be 2 questions to be discussed in each room. We can possibly share this on the chat, which will look at sharing examples that you would have done, but also looking at what are the needs for these initiatives to continue, and what are the barriers and so forth. So in each of these groups, you'll have a moderator to guide the conversation and a note taker to document the comments and feedback. You will have about 25 minutes to discuss and answer the questions, which will also be collected on a Miro board by the note taker. The results of the discussion will be shared by our different co-conveners websites and social media, but also used at the World Water Forum. So please enjoy your discussions, and we will return to the main room at the end.
Well, I think most of us are back in the main room. Just to conclude on the fact, I don't know if Kirtana, you want to do the conclusion with me, but thank you very much for everybody who participated in the work group. So the objective is that we're gonna put all those inputs together, and we'll be sharing your input at the next World Water Forum. We'll share it with decision makers and as much as possible to try to make it happen. And we'll also have a conclusion on most of our website. We're going to work collaboratively with all the co-conveners to put together your inputs, and we'll publish them on our website. So I know that you should be able to find them pretty rapidly in our website and our social media. We are thanking you again for this session. I don't know if anyone wants to say something in the main room, but thank you very much on my side. Kirtana, I don't know if you want to say something.
I thank you everyone for your participation. Just in case you did not have a chance to say what you wanted to say, or you forgot, just feel free to add it on the Pathable chat platform. We will use it later to compile the report, and also we'll make sure that your opinions are considered and heard. Thank you everyone again.